Welcome to Cody in the Cinema. Today I'm discussing the Outlaw Josey Wales. This is one of the classic Clint Eastwood westerns, and I'm so glad I got a 4K restoration, and I hadn't seen this in many, many years. I think the first time I saw it was over a decade ago. But going from DVD to 4K and re-experiencing this story was just a real pleasure from start to finish, and this is quickly becoming one of my favorite Clint Eastwood westerns, and that happens sometimes with classics that you haven't seen in a long time, so I am in love with this. The story, if you're not familiar, involves Josey Wales, farmer, rancher, whatever you want to call him. Simple story. Things are going well in his life. He has a family. And this captain, Captain Terrell, comes in and destroys his home. From what it seems like, it's a war crime, or the murders are done, with the war as a pretense. And as a result of this, Josey Wales joins the Confederacy, and he holds out for a long time while some other men give up in the war. And the rest of the war is a back and forth in terms of how these others track Josey Wales from the other side, from Captain Terrell, bounty hunters, and all of the different wonderful, interesting individuals he meets along the way. And it is awesome to watch. Even from the opening scenes, like when the light peeks through the trees and you see this farmer just trying to live a peaceful life, and he can't, and everything he knows gets blown away. And that concept is brought up over and over again, even from the very beginning. You know you're in for a special experience. Something I hadn't noticed the first time quite the same way I did this time was how the story evolves so maturely and so well for a film that might seem like an action adventure on the surface. In the beginning, you see a lot of opportunism. You see a lot of people acting, in transactional interest. For example, you see a duplicitous river ferry operator who will sing either the battle hymn of the Republic or the Dixie, song, because he just needs to make money off of both sides. And you get a sense that all of war is nothing more than opportunism, which is kind of a cool thing about it. There's a white suited man who's selling snake oil. Basically, it's some kind of magical liquid. And one of the best scenes in the whole movie, Josey Wales spits tobacco on him. And you might think that this is a purely noble, terrific anti-hero, but he does actually do some really mean, nasty, uncalled for stuff. And I like that about the movie. It especially comes up with this tobacco. But the opportunism kind of changes throughout the film. And what we start to see and what we start to believe along with Josey is that humanity can be more than individuals cutthroating each other for small advantages or for monetary gain. What we believe, despite everything to the contrary at first, is that there's got to be some way that human beings can interact peacefully, even if they're very different from each other. And the film is so unapologetically straightforward with this approach. The characters are not too worried about hurting each other's feelings a lot of the time. They're very blunt. Some of the things they say are off color, and this isn't like polished, clean. What's the right word for it? The characters sound real for good and for bad and for offensive. They are offensive characters a lot of the time, and I love that about the movie. This is just people struggling through life and trying to make sense of it. One thing I hadn't noticed as much years ago with the DVD that I definitely noticed with the 4K is the shots of just different places like Arizona, Utah, California. This film made me want to revisit those areas, and I go west quite frequently. When I can, I try to go at least once a year. I've just been to the Saguaros not too long ago, and I love New Mexico and different places like that. And anytime I'm watching a film like this, there's a certain way that, directors can film this. And I believe Clint Eastwood did take over the directing in this, but, you can film the West in such a way that it becomes, mythologically significant or philosophically significant and breathtaking. And I think that Clint Eastwood has a respect for the land. And wow, are the shots beautiful in this one. the land itself, the regeneration of nature, the recycling of everything, the fact that from death comes life, that's very present as well. Buzzards got to eat, same as worms, is a famous line from this movie. And even though things might die, they can be regrown and reborn again. In some ways, all that having been said, a whole lot of this movie isn't a lot more than Clint Eastwood brooding, some people chasing him, they stand there together, he looks scarier than they do, he says something short and moderately clever, and there's gunfire, and it's awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, every single time that happens, it's just awesome. My favorite is there's a little shootout inside of, I guess, a makeshift bar, trade store, in the middle of nowhere, and Clint Eastwood comes in through with just light reflecting back out. It looks like a shot from Red Dead Redemption 2, which borrowed quite a bit from this movie. And he said some things right, almost incidentally. It's just as if, oh, well, while I'm here, I might as well do a good thing because it happens to benefit me. Real good anti-hero stuff. But one of the best characters in this film that isn't Josey Wales was played by Chief Dan George, who becomes his Native American companion through this. And they both sort of shoot the breeze with philosophical sayings of various sorts. Josey Wales preferring his short little quips to perhaps the Chief's more long-winded words, and I love those two together. I think they had such a powerful chemistry in this movie. I think the movie's pretty good without the Chief Dan George in here, but even better with him. And I looked, and it's too bad he wasn't in more movies because this is a great actor. And a lot of the other characters that are in the film just don't hold, a lot of them are supporting cast to Josey Wales. Clint Eastwood is front and center in this movie. The other interesting character I would say is Fletcher, who is kind of caught between sides, sort of. You'll see what he does. I mean, he's a little opportunistic himself, and I like what is done with that character. Almost all the dialogue is well, it's interesting, it's entertaining. Sometimes it's a little hokey and funny, and there's some awkward or tonal shifts, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is when Clint Eastwood's on the screen and he means business, and it becomes a beautiful, powerful, wonderful looking Western that I think you can learn a lot from. So those are my general thoughts. I think if I were, saying what's the first Clint Eastwood movie you should start with, I would say if you've never seen one, Unforgiven, maybe The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, or one of those movies. Then this one, maybe this is really high up there in terms of great Clint Eastwood movies. I mean, this is different than the Fistful of Dollars trilogy character. This character's a little less playful, I think, and a little bit more thrown in the mud, so to speak, and a little bit less mysterious. It's a good bit different and more Americanized than Sergio Leone's character. But definitely one of the classics in his canon, and something I'm really glad I got a 4K, and I love the slipcover on this. I didn't think I would, and I went and got this, and the silver kind of reflects off, and it just actually works really well. A lot of times these kind of look, I don't know, like a 2000s boy band cover for an album, for a CD, but I actually think this looks really good. So I wanted to get the Steelbook, but I've been very satisfied with this. Just get it, watch it, enjoy it, love it. I know that there are a few others that have been released on 4K as well, but this is a good movie. So those are my thoughts. If you want to click the like button and help grow the channel, that'd be great. Show support. Tell me what you liked or didn't like about the movie, what Clint Eastwood movies you like in general. Subscribe if you haven't, please, because I cover lots of cool stuff like Westerns, Criterions. I have a good time with it, talking about movies I like, and, physical media, collecting, as you'll see here. And see you next time. Cody in the Cinema.